Spent some time on vacation, and I'm back. I did a little bit of work after the vacation, a little bit of work before the vacation. And so in the case for the book, I continued working on chapter 3 problems. They're important and they need to be done, but I really wanted to do integration. That's just my thing. Still, it's background work that needs to be done, and so I completed some problems in chapter 3, all about the various elementary functions, understanding principal values, of course branch points, branch cuts, all that. I need to go back to that material. I find it a little confusing for log, or not. It doesn't roll off easily. Then for reading, finished reading the entire chapter for integration, which is a very long chapter. And next week I'll start on problems for chapter 4. So this took a while to read. I have been reading it as I made previous updates, but I like to make the update that shows the chapter being read after I completed the problems from the previous chapter, at least for this book. So that's the book. Then, as far as progress is concerned, I read additional sections, finished chapter 4, and this doesn't really depict how long this chapter to read is, because this chapter is about the length of these 3 chapters. But that's where I'm at. Then, of course, I think the way that I drew my schedule, I drew it at the pace that I was reading Wade, and Wade was a much slower read, so I think these dates are meaningless. The fact that it says here that I'm up to September, even though July hasn't even started, looks like I'll be able to finish the book by the end of the summer instead of by the end of the year. So I miscalculated. That's fine. Then for problems, I didn't do as many as many in chapter 3 as I did for the previous chapters, and I suspect that will change for chapter 4. I suspect that for chapter 4 I'll do more problems as a percentage of each section, and even the last optional section with circuits I didn't do anything for. So that's problems. And then just to show the notebook, show the actual work, worked on more problems for chapter 3, and doing some derivatives for complex functions. Those are pretty straightforward, using the Cauchy-Riemann equations, also very straightforward. Then when I got into the log and the principal values, that got a little dicey. I could get some things, but some things I didn't fully get. So yeah, this is a revisit. Sometimes I got it, sometimes I didn't get it, or I got partial, didn't understand a minor trick. So that was chapter 3. Some of the material in chapter 3 I want to go back to, but I want to keep going. And this is something that I wanted to mention when it comes to self-teaching, self-learning. It's limited. In a course, I would have gone to office hours and said, hey, I need some help for something. And so there needs to be a real course in the future for me, God willing. I hope that turns out to be the case. Then the whole reading for chapter 4, just page quickly through these pages. It's just the actual chapter itself written out, and learned a lot. The reading went more smoothly just because I guess I love integration. Maybe that's the reason why. Saff and Snider did a great job. Some of the proofs they referenced another book that I have gotten since I received it recently. But when I looked through it, I didn't see I didn't see what Saff and Snider was mentioning. I did not see long detailed proofs. And I'm going to feature that book at some point after I've used it. I don't like to just page through a book just because I have it. But yeah, all about contour integration, Cauchy's integral theorem. The book does it very interesting. It does it through 2 separate approaches. And so it's got starts it with, let me see, section 4.4. It goes through a deformation of contours approach, a little bit of a topological way to look at the Cauchy integral theorem. And then it does it through a vector calculus approach. So very interesting content. I think it's the core, in my opinion. I always say that about integration. So here's a vector analysis approach, and where it uses Green's theorem, right? So that's what it is. Yeah. Contours, how to go about contour integration examples. Then some estimations, estimating integrals. And then back to harmonics. The Laplacian harmonic functions are treated at the end of each chapter. So it's sort of like what Wade did with some of the extra content. It just kept flowing at the end of each chapter. And so the same is true here, where at the end of the chapter there's a section 4.7, which goes to applications to harmonic functions. And yeah, and that's the end of chapter 4 reading.